Okay, this is not going to make any sense whatsoever unless you've seen the parts 1 and 2 of this video series. So, before you watch this one, please go and watch that one. Anyway, last time we drew up this list of choices and list of non-choices. Things which people would describe as being choices. Things which people would not describe as being choices. And we want to see if we can find any commonality among these lists here. Some candidates we're going to have to reject here. Okay, first candidate I'm going to reject. Choice is a result of a process which originates 100% from within the organism. So this is meant to say, okay, if somebody's lifting my arm, that's not a choice of mine. But if I'm lifting my arm, that's a choice. I'm going to reject this one because things like Parkinson's, tremors, compulsive hand washing, Tourette's, these all originate from within the organism, but we still wouldn't describe them as being choices. So we keep looking. As we've seen, the case of ambient sleep driving is a very interesting case. It scotches all of these candidates. Choice is a very complex behavior. No. Choice is satisfying an urge. No. Even choice is making a plan and carrying it out. This is the one that just blows my mind. We can describe someone as, planning to go to the store, planning their route, getting there, all without describing it as a series of choices that the organism is making. A very, very interesting case. Another one I'm going to reject. Non-choices have an identifiable cause, but choices have no cause whatsoever. I can't really do a better job of this one than BitButters' vid on free will. I'm going to include a link to BitButters' vid in the sidebar. He articulates a lot of the same phraseology here in a much better way than I will in this video. Basically, it comes down to this. We usually have no trouble whatsoever identifying the cause for people's choices. And this is how we make sense of their choices. We'd be able to make no sense of their choices if we couldn't identify some cause of them. So let's go back to the ambient-driven sleep driver here. Okay, what is the sleep driver lacking that the waking driver is not lacking? Besides choice, that is. Well, a big obvious one is consciousness, of course. I mean, the waking driver is awake, is conscious. But there's some more. Moral culpability. For example, if the ambient-driven sleep driver had an accident on the way to the store, would you support giving that person a ticket? Probably not. Or if they killed somebody on the way to the store, do you think they deserve the death penalty? Probably not. And why not? Okay, well, it wasn't their choice to go to the store, basically. We only give moral culpability to people who've made a choice. More importantly, there's no reason, okay? So see BitButters' video again. I'll talk more about this in the following slides. All right, so side note, okay? This case of ambient-driven sleep driver really unites 3 of YouTube's most favorite topics of conversation: consciousness, morality, and free will. You can see how they're all very interestingly related in this one case. So this should give YouTube users multiple orgasms on this, basically. I will talk more about consciousness in another video, but I don't really think it's that pertinent. I got to focus somehow, and this series is getting pretty long. I'll just say a few things about why I don't think consciousness is pertinent to the definition of choice. Freud in the discovery of the unconscious, for one. Okay, we seem to make a lot of choices unconsciously. Heidegger and his mighty hammer. It's only authentically ready to hand if it withdraws. Blah 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 blah. So I don't really want to talk much about this. So I'm gonna that's all I'm gonna say about consciousness. So what is the difference between sleep driving and waking driving? Okay, finally, stop beating around the bushes. Get around to it. Just spit it out. Okay, now, I only wish I were smart enough to have thought of this. This is basically ripped off from Donald Davidson. I'll give a link to his book in the sidebar. Okay, here's the proposal. In order to count as a choice, something must have a cause, which can be described in normative terms. If it can only be described in descriptive terms, it isn't a choice. This cause is called a reason, and it makes understandable to us the person's actions as a rational agent, i.e. as a person who does things for reasons, as a rational agent. All right? So let's see how this proposal fares, okay? But first of all, let's talk a little bit about the difference between descriptive and normative, okay? Those of you who've watched a lot of my videos know that this is one of my favorite hobby horses, to harp on this distinction. All right? The vest pocket specimen of descriptive and normative is the speed of your car and the relationships it bears to different objects, okay? The speed of your car bears a descriptive relationship to your speedometer. Your speedometer describes how fast your car is going. The speed of your car bears a normative description to the speed limit sign on the side of the road. The speed limit sign says how fast your car should be going. And the English language marks the difference between descriptive vocabulary and normative vocabulary by words like should, could, wrong, this kind of thing, right? Okay, so let's see how it fares on our list of choices here. So, getting married. We call it a choice. Can we identify, for someone who's getting married, a cause for them getting married, which can be talked about in normative terms? Well, sure, yeah. We say that people get married for good causes and bad causes, or good reasons and bad reasons, all the time. If you talk to somebody, say, yeah, I married her because, I was in love, blah, blah, blah. This kind of thing, right? And we can evaluate those reasons in normative terms. Same for buying a house. You can buy a house for a good reason or a bad reason. We can identify reasons why people buy a house: because I want to provide for my family, because I want to give a better school district to my kid, this kind of thing, right? Described in normative terms. I should provide for my kids. I should get my kid into a good school district. Ergo, I bought a house. Waving goodbye. You can wave goodbye for many different reasons, for the good reasons, the wrong reasons, all this kind of stuff. Driving carefully. All these things you can find a cause for the choice, and that cause can be described in normative terms and not descriptive terms. Okay? Now let's mosey on over to the non-choices. All right? Non-choices is very interesting. All of these guys, you can find descriptive causes for them, but you can't really find a normative cause for them. So let's take the case of like a Parkinsonian hand tremor. Okay, we can identify a cause for it. It's simply a lack of dopamine producing neurons in the brain. But we can't describe that cause in any kind of normative terms. It's not like somebody's morally culpable because, their hand is shaking, or they're doing something wrong because their hand is shaking. There's no normative description of that cause, only descriptive description of that cause. Same with compulsive hand washing. If somebody's not choosing to wash their hands all the time, there's some cause that's there, but it's not a normative cause. It's just, some descriptive thing. It's a compulsion, right? Same for physical urges like getting hungry or getting sleepy, this sort of thing. I get hungry after 5 hours of not eating. That's, empty stomach causes my hunger, period. I mean, it's not like, I say, it's 5 hours and you're hungry and you should be hungry, but you really aren't hungry, this kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't work that way. There's no moral culpability assigned to me being hungry or not being hungry. It's not, I can't be hungry wrong. I can't be wrong when I'm hungry. Okay? So, why is this? Okay, why must the cause of a choice be normative? Okay, in order to be a reason for something, it has to have the potential of being a good reason or a bad reason, i.e. it has to be normative. Now, the advantage of this proposal is it explains why we would attribute moral culpability to choices and not to non-choices. Because, saying a choice is morally wrong is rendering a normative judgment about it and about what causes it. Either it's a good reason or a bad reason. This is a big, I think, a key advantage of this proposal. All right? Other advantages. It makes our actions understandable to us and others. As BitButters said, okay, I'm referring you to his video again. If we just randomly performed actions, we would be slaves to a free will which was not recognizably our own. In other words, to be a reason, it must cohere normatively with the stand we take on beings. Okay, what kind of agent I am. If I marry somebody, that says something about the kind of person I am. That says something about the person I'm intending to be, right? It has to cohere with that. It has to make intelligible me as my being and how I am doing things, right? So here's the summary definition, okay? Let me just spell it out here once more, okay? We can describe the behavior of an agent as a choice, if and only if we can identify a cause which can be given a normative description called a reason. And that reason, as a reason, makes the choice of the agent intelligible to us as a rational agent and explains the behavior of the agent as being a rational thing to do. It gives some reason, basically, that the person did it. And moreover, it has to cohere normatively with the kind of person that is, what the person is trying to be, basically. Okay, so our next steps, the next couple videos, we'll draw out some of the implications of a reason being a normative rather than a descriptive cause of a choice. And we will eventually finally get around to tackling the hard problem. Are we physically free or not?